you've got a multitude of or different types of spirometers that we've got inside of the classroom that can utilize that can allow you the ability to measure exhaled volume coming from a patient. So really, they all work very similar in nature. I've got my mouthpiece attached to the Halo spirometer, so I'm going to utilize that one for the purposes of demonstration. But nonetheless, you can see that they are all pretty similar in nature, and I'll give you a closer shot of how they operate. But as far as this one is concerned, you're going to have, I've got the bacteria filter placed where my mouthpiece would be, so that is going to be where the inspiratory flow goes in. Then you have expiratory flow that would come out this direction. And then ultimately, you've got a reset button here, and you've got an on and off switch on the side. So your on and off switch is here, and a reset button here. So if I were to have this slid, and if it's in the off position, there will not you will not have any change in volume. It will not capture any volume coming through. So you can see that. Slide it to the on position, and then it captures. Notice the smaller needle makes a complete revolution. So as it comes around one time, this longer needle is going to move to 1 liter, 2 liter, 3 liter, 4 liter, and so on and so on. Then the smaller needle is going to give you your decimal aspect, so your whole number, and then your whole number with the long needle, your decimal number with the smaller needle. Once a couple of different ways you can do so if you're going to assess someone's minute ventilation, and this is what you're going to do for your procedure competency evaluation. For the minute ventilation, you're going to have the patient place the mouthpiece in their mouth, let them get acclimated, and then when you're ready to start your minute, you can do one of a couple of things. This button on the bottom, if I breathe in and I'm ready to now get started, all right, so start, go, I can click that to 0, and then now as I'm breathing, it'll continue to change. Or you can do you can also do it this way. So take this in the off position, have your patient breathe in a few times, and then when you're ready, slide that to the on position, and then at the end of your minute, slide it back off, because if you leave it on and you move this direction, it's going to pick up some flow, so that's going to add a little bit of volume to the breath that the individual didn't take. So that's that little bit that I had breathed in there gets me to not quite 2 all the way around, so 1.45. So it's 1.45. This is about halfway between 1 and 2, so it would be 1.45 as we can see there. And you get 1 because it's in between 1 and 2 up here, and then it's the smaller numbers directly on 0.45. So it falls in between your point. That would be 1.45 is what we've got there. Do this for an entire minute. You can do a slow vital capacity, you can do a 1 breath tidal volume, or you can do a minute ventilation and then figure out what your tidal volume is going to be in that regard. So if I'm doing that to an extent, what I would do in that aspect now is calculation very similar in nature to what we did on the board earlier. So, minute ventilation is respiratory rate times tidal volume. If your minute volume was 7.52 and your respiratory rate was 12, that's why it'll be important for you to count the respiratory rate. Then you just take 7.52 liters per minute, divide that by 12 breaths per minute, and then the minutes will cancel out, and then that's going to leave you with 0.63 liters as we attend. Then you convert that to milliliters, so it's essentially a 630 cc tidal volume. So you'll need to be able to calculate your tidal volume based upon what your minute ventilation is and your respiratory rate. Looking at the different manometers, so you can see this manometer, or excuse me, not manometer, but respirometer is a little different in that your whole numbers are still going to be on the outside, but your decimal numbers would be in that smaller circle. So make sure that you can read your respirometer pretty well. That way in the past, that's kind of been the more difficult aspect of those. You can do slow vital capacity, you can do a minute ventilation, a one breath tidal volume. We're going to have you do the minute ventilation and figure out what the tidal volume is.